Yo, what is up everyone, and welcome back to another YouTube video with your host Kenkukun, and today we got another Destiny 2 Trials Training video. So, first off, we're going to be covering the Hunter Stasis subclass. Now, in this video, we're going to be covering its unique abilities, including its super, and then we'll kind of go over the fragments that I'm using and what I think are probably, the some of the best setups as of right now. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and take a look at the melee. Withering Blade, Stasis Melee. Toss a Stasis Shuriken at targets to damage and slow them. Provides multiple charges. So what this does is you throw it at a target, hits them, it slows them. It slows them, I think, for about 3 seconds, maybe 4, depending on how you build your hunter. And it hits them for a stack of 6 slow. Now, remember, anytime a Guardian gets a stack of slow 10, you yourself or the enemy you're attacking, you will freeze. And this, when it freezes you from this, it will freeze you for the full 4.75 seconds, not the nerfed 1.35 seconds that comes from the Warlock melee or from the Cold Snap grenade or from there was one more I don't remember. Oh, and from the ice flare bolts that would come from the Warlock's aspect. So those are the only 3 that got nerfed to 1.35 seconds. So what you have to do with the Withering melee, ways to freeze people, you um you would have to apply this and another freezing ability from the hunter, whether it be a grenade, another melee, shade step, and all that. And we'll break it down a little bit more. So these can also do critical hits. Now, if you don't get critical hits, and I didn't really go test it in private matches, which I probably should have, but I'll break that down later in another video when I talk more about the class and probably how you want to play it, or maybe not how you want to play, but the different ways you can play the hunter class, because there's always 2 ways to play this game. There's always 2 ways to play any shooter game, right? Highly aggressive, highly passive, and then there's that third option that, yep, I'm winging it. It's somewhere in between, and the really great players are the people that can do both options. Anyone that does one extreme or the other, well, they will find, matches where they actually get beat up more than not. But the people that can play highly aggressive usually and do well at it, usually if they have to go to highly passive, they can, if they have the willpower, and they will still be fine. The people that only play highly passive and then never play highly aggressive because they can't or they don't practice enough, those people suffer more than not. So um it's kind of good to fall in the middle somewhere most of the time. So then we go over to the grenades. Remember, these aren't really unique to anyone, and we'll just quickly go over them. I covered them in the Warlock video. We'll cover them here. Cold Snap grenade throws a grenade. It has little tracking icicles that go after Guardians. They nerfed its speed by, I think, 33%, and they nerfed the time it stays frozen when it freezes the Guardian to 1.35 seconds. Probably the last grenade I would tell you to use on any class. But hey, if you like it and it works for you, or you just like it, go for it. I'm not here to tell you how to run your class. I'm just here breaking it down. So now you got the glacial grenade. Now, if this freezes a target, it's a long 4.75 seconds. You can also put it up defensively as a wall. You can lock down areas, defend yourself like a Titan with a barricade, or just you're on a Titan and now you have a barricade, shield, and a and a glacial wall. So now you have 2 options to keep you protected: shooting these crystals, or pretty much any crystals generated by your teammates. But shooting or breaking these crystals in some shape, form, or fashion will allow you to deal AoE damage to the enemy, and you can deal more damage depending on the fragments you run. And we'll briefly cover the fragments once again. I'll just kind of go over. I'll just kind of go over what I'm using currently. So you can freeze multiple Guardians with this grenade. I've frozen up to 3 and killed a 4th guy that was rolling up on his teammates. Just by shooting like 1 ice crystal, and then everyone shatters. That's the beauty of it. There's a lot of shattering going on for all subclasses. More on that in just a moment, where I didn't really cover that on the Warlock, but we'll cover it here on the Titan just because it came to mind. And then you have the Dust Field grenade, probably the best grenade out of all 3, but I've been seeing a lot more people deal with this grenade. a little bit better, which is good that we're adapting, right? That means Bungie's not going to have to nerf this grenade, because I don't want this grenade nerfed for one reason alone. It pulls people to its center. That means people that are 3-peeking get pulled out of cover. That's right. Another way to punish people for 3-peeking. Now, I no longer have to walk up on you and shoot you in the back because you're not noticing me. I just throw a grenade and shoot you in the front. I love it. So, Dust Field Grenade pulls people to the center. It also starts freezing them. Slowly over time, it'll slow them. So, a grenade that shatters on impact, leaving behind a field that slows targets and freezes those who do not leave the volume. Once again, once they hit that stack of 10, they are frozen for 4.75 seconds. They're taking, it does minuscule damage, 1 point of damage, 2, maybe you'll get lucky to see. It will never kill anyone. This grenade won't kill anyone unless you kill the enemy yourself. This grenade will never kill anyone. This grenade will never kill anyone. You have to do the killing yourself. That's, that's kind of how, I guess, that's kind of like Bungie's, somewhat thinking, well, we don't ever want anyone to die to the, the grenades ever, because they already freeze them. I guess I get that, even if a dude was absolute, you threw this grenade on them, as far as I'm aware, they do not die. They just one, or I think it actually drops to immune. I'm not 100%. I would have to do, I'd have to actually go look and test it. But anyway, this is a very good grenade. Very, very good to slow down lanes. Now, once again, I want to cover that I've seen Dawn Blades come out of it. I cannot shade step out of it. So, to confirm from the last video on the Warlock, Hunters cannot shade step out of this. Now, I've seen Hunters blink out of this with that helmet. I do not have the helmet yet. I'm going to try to get that sometime soonish. But yes, I've seen Hunters blink out of this helmet that turns their shade step into a blink. I don't have it yet, but I've seen it used against me, and I kind of have an understanding of how it works. So let's go ahead and dive into the aspects. So aspect number 1 was Shatter Dive. Now, when the Hunters got this, I was not happy. I was not impressed. I was like, oh, it's a Hunter. And I'm like, well, I don't feel like any other Hunter. I'm just throwing shuriken knives and the grenade that everyone has. Other than my super, I didn't feel like I was doing anything cool. Even to this day, I barely use Shatter Dive, even though you can spam this. There's no cooldown. So, in that respect, it might be really, really, really good. So running Stompies. I'm not running I'm actually running Geminis, but you could run Stompies if you wanted to. But Shatter Dive, activate while in midair to quickly descend and shatter nearby targets on impact. So if you freeze someone and you want to quickly destroy them, you would jump, hold, circle or whatever your controller's set to, and shatter them instantly. I don't know the radius because I've never really done it. I usually just shoot them and move on. So once again, that's all it does. It can be used as a mobility to get away. Oh, I want to take cover from this high area and I'm jumping on my Hunter. The more I play with it, the more I'll think about it. Oh, I don't want to be in the sky because I'm going to be shot if I jump up, so I want to dive down really quick and take that cover. It can be used in that respect as well. So as long as you're paying attention, you have, good understanding of the map, high awareness of where all the enemies are and where you're at and what objects are between you and the enemy, you can actually use this quite a bit to stay alive. Now we got the second aspect. Now, this one was the question mark. Nobody knew exactly how powerful it was going to be or what it was going to be. People were like, oh, you're going to freeze people by shade step. And I'm just like, bro, I do not want to. So this is going to be funny because I just thought of this. So dodging slows nearby targets. Now you can slow someone, and I'm going to have to try this. You can slow someone by dodging near them. The radius is not that big. It's definitely not as big as Gemini Jesters. Which is what I was afraid of. I'm like, bro, if this is as big as Gemini Jesters, let's just wrap it up and go home. I just don't even want to play against Hunters. Slow or freeze, doesn't matter. But it's actually very small. It does have a spherical radius. That means anything above you, behind you, around you, below you, by chance, could get slowed. But it's a very small radius. I feel like they balanced it enough that if you really rush up on someone, you can catch them. And slow them, but if they rush up on you, the same could be said to them, or it could just barely, it could just barely miss the mark and fall short of activating and slowing them. So once again, you have this, which shatters nearby targets, and this, which slows people. You have the shuriken, which slows people. You do not start off with 2 shurikens. If I didn't mention that earlier, you start off with one and the other one starts charging. Now to help that, I run my Gambler's Dodge. When I dodge, I get my melee back. I used to run Marksman's Dodge where I reload weapons. I used to run that all the time, but now I run Gambler's Dodge. So talking about that, we have the Winter Shroud, which affects your Shade Step, all Shade Steps, and the Blink. It works on the Blink. It did it to me. So it's not just Shade Stepping, it's dodging in general. Now, I don't think another person froze me. I don't think another person shade stepped to me near me or anything like that, like slowed me down. I'm almost 100%. I don't. If someone has this on my friends list, I will check it out and I will confirm in the Titan video. I'll go back and be like, hey, yo, does this work or not? But I'm almost positive it does. So if anyone wants to confirm that in the comment section below, let me know. Moving on, fragments. All right. So these are all the fragments you could choose from, and I was not sure which fragments I wanted to run. So this one just seems like a no-brainer. You only get 2 fragment slots. This one just seemed like it was obvious. Slow from your abilities lasts longer. For those abilities that linger, their duration will also increase. Your Shuriken slows, your Shade Step slows. The 2 best, one of the best, I think the best grenade slows, right? The second best freezes, and the third best freeze, or the third best freezes, but not as long. So I don't feel like you would want to run anything else as a number 1. What fragment should I absolutely run? I really think this one, Whisper of Durance, is just, it just makes sense because you're geared more towards slowing enemies, not freezing them. Now, you can freeze them. You could Shade Step and Shuriken and freeze them. You can Shuriken and Shade Step, but the Shuriken, the slow buff only lasts on them for like 3 seconds or less. So it's not. I tried a Shuriken to freeze someone, and I was just too slow to Shuriken, close the distance, and freeze them with Shade Step. And all I did was just double slow them. So keep that in mind. You can also throw the Duskfield Grenade first and then Shuriken them. Duskfield Grenade and then Shade Step near them. And, if they didn't get out of the grenade in time, you frozen them, right? But what I was saying earlier, if you have 2 Hunter Shade Step near the same person, do they freeze? I needed to test that. That's going to be hilarious. And I'll probably check that out at a later time, or someone can let me know, but I'll still probably check it out. So that was fragment number 1. I think this is the number 1 fragment. Now, I'm not going to tell you not to run this, but I'm going to highly recommend you run this fragment. It's probably going to be your best fragment out of the bunch. And since you can only run 2 fragments, it was down to, for me, it was like, well, what do I really want to run? Do I want to, so I played with 2 specifically. We got Whisper of Refraction. Defeating slow to frozen targets grants you class ability energy. So I'm like, well, they nerfed Shade Step from 9 seconds, I think, to 11 seconds. Maximum cooldown time that you can get. So I'm like, well, if I defeat slowed people, and I'm always slowing people, and sometimes freezing, I will get my class ability back. So it makes sense to just go ahead and get my Shade Step back, get another Shade Step, another melee, maybe another slow on someone, and kill them, right? Win-win. Now you can run, you can run things that gain bonus damage to weapons after freezing a target with stasis. You can run increase the damage and size of the burst of stasis when you destroy a stasis crystal or defeat a frozen target. Defeating frozen targets will grant you super energy with your weapons, and shattering a stasis crystal temporarily boosts your grenade recharge rate. Shattering additional stasis crystals will increase their duration of the benefit. So I thought about running, Whisper of the Shards, as a contender, and I also thought about the one that gives you increased super energy. Now, the only reason I was running it, but I wasn't sure if I noticed a difference, and I don't think I really did, because if I'm even in 6s, I'm not running around killing only frozen guardians. And I'm not sitting there waiting for my teammates or waiting for the perfect combination of my build to allow me to freeze someone. If it happens, it happens. I tried to build around it. It's like, all right, let me try and see, let me run the fragment. I ran it, and I didn't feel like I was getting my super any faster than anyone else. I think the Warlock is just built a little bit better. This is kind of, not only does the Warlock allow this because he freezes more people with more abilities, so his melee freezes, his rift freezes, and then he has the grenade that could potentially freeze. It just makes sense. But at the same time, you could pop your super And if you defeat enemies that are frozen from your super, you're getting super energy back, almost like Ophidian aspects. So, that was another thing I tried to play off of and pay attention to. But of course, whenever you want to do something specific, it doesn't really happen that well. So the times that I was like, all right, I got my super, let's go pay attention, I would find like maybe one enemy, or I would go to throw it and I would jump poorly or slide around the corner poorly, and I would get gunned down before I, hit them with the first pickaxe. Who, you name it, it happened, and whatever could go wrong did go wrong in that scenario. So I really didn't get to test it there, but it could actually work like Ophidian aspects a little bit, where you pop your tether and then get it back. Is it no Orpheus rigs? Sorry, Ophidian aspects, Orpheus rigs. I apologize. It could work like Orpheus rigs, where you pop your tether. The more people that get tethered, you get your super energy back, so on and so forth. So, I mean, once you get that first super, you might be able to kickstart your second super. Another one you could consider running is shattering a stasis crystal, temporarily boost your grenade recharge. Maybe you want more grenades, but again, you're working off of either getting people. You can always just put your own wall down and just start shooting that whenever you want, but I feel like that would be a wasted resource. So again, I think it was just defeating slowed or frozen targets, getting super energy back, or possibly increases the damage and size of the burst of stasis when you destroy it. Again, I really feel like that's more for the warlock right now than it is for the hunter. So that's all I got to say about the fragments, the aspect, the abilities. Let's talk about the super. Now the super, this is a very powerful super, silence and squall. So you throw two stasis commas. Well, they look like pickaxes to me. I didn't know they were called commas, if I'm even saying that right. So anyway, silence creates a flash freeze blast that freezes and damages targets. It's pretty powerful. The blast radius to freezing is really powerful. Squall creates can you stop moving? Creates a stasis storm that slows and damages targets caught inside. It's like a little blizzard that just goes around, follows people. It'll travel vertically and horizontally. Mine has actually gotten stuck in the ceiling one time. Now, one thing they do with the hunter is the stasis subclass. If you jump and pop your super, you don't like float for like 5 feet. So if you jump up and pop it, you won't float into the ceiling and throw your blade barrage or your supers in them. Most of the time, they'll actually not get hit, but it could mess up your camera angle, and you can throw it into the ceiling if you try to aim it farther down at people, like farther away from you, not farther down looking down. So be careful not to jump too high as you pop it, but they definitely made it where you can not, if you're a hunter, you just float. You float when you shouldn't be floating, right? It is slow to activate, so I've been shot out of it multiple times. So take care of that. If you take too many bullets early on, you might not get the second one off. And the second one is the one that's really going to kill people. The first one, not so much. It can kill supers if you hit them with the second one. If you freeze a super and hit them with the second one, the super is dead. Other than that, yeah, it lasts pretty long, almost as long as a tether. It can do. Now you can't control who it tracks and where it tracks or what it does. I've had it kill a person, and then the next person next to him, it kind of just like floated away for some weird reason, then started coming back, and so you can kind of use it to zone off an area. I really wouldn't play it that way, but at the same time, you got nothing to lose. It's like putting an extra guardian on the field that cannot die. Oh, speaking of that, I just remembered the glitch that cannot die. It does damage, and it patrols an area, so it comes down to overtime, and you're in a 1v3, and it's match point. You don't got nothing to lose. You drop it on. You want to try to catch someone because you do want to try to kill them, and maybe two, and then you let the blizzard do the work on the third one. It'll start traveling before you jump on the flag. Let it go up. Let it kind of flush out the dude. You should see him on the radar. Try to get some shots on him. The longer he stands stationary, the closer that blizzard gets, and you take advantage of that. So that's really all I got to say to cover the hunter subclass. I think it revolves more around slowing people than it does around freezing people, and I think your fragments that go with slowing enemies versus freezing them are going to be your best friend, especially this one. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, share, subscribe, would appreciate it, and we'll catch you in the next one. We'll be playing with the Titan today. We'll get the Titan video out we'll have all 3 out, and hopefully trials will not be canceled by next weekend. That would be nice. We shall see. Thank you all for watching. Catch you all next time, and enjoy your day.